Alright, welcome to our Receivable Financing. So sa video na ito, pag-usapan natin ang overview ng Receivable Financing. So ano ba itong Receivable Financing na ito? So, in real life, dumarating yung time na nangangailangan tayo ng cash. Kagaya ko, kailangan ko ng cash every day. So, naalala ko noon yung mami ko kapag dumarating na yung time ng examinations, ang ginagawa niya, sinasanlan niya yung mga alahas niya to pay for our tuition fee. So, para makapag-exam kami. So, in real life or in real business world, there will be a time when the company needed a cash to pay its current obligations. So, nangangailangan yung company ng cash para makapagbayad siya ng kanyang mga current obligations or current liabilities. At there are many ways na pwedeng mag-raise ng money or cash sa business world. And ang tawag mo dito ay receivable financing. There are many ways to raise money from our receivable. So remember, we have two kinds of receivables. We have our trade receivables and our non-trade receivables. Yung trade receivables po natin, ang pwede lang nating i-finance. Hindi natin pwedeng i-finance yung ating non-trade receivables, kagaya ng ating advances to employees. Hindi mo pwedeng dalhin yun at i-collateral mo sa bangko. So, the only thing that we can finance in the bank or other financial institution is yung ating trade receivables. Our trade receivable is composed of our accounts receivable and our note receivable. Alright, so ang ating trade receivable is composed of our accounts receivable at ang ating notes receivable. There are three ways kung paano tayo makakapag-raise ng money or cash from our accounts receivable at isang way sa notes receivable. So there are three ways to raise money or cash from our accounts receivable, and these are pledging, assignments, and factoring. Alright, and one way sa notes receivable, and this is what we call discounting. Alright, now, what is this pledging and assignment? Pledging and assignments are similar. They are both borrowing money from a bank or any other financial institutions. So, ito si pledging at saka sa assignments, ang ginagawa ng company, nagbabaro siya ng money o umuutang siya ng pera sa bangko or other financial institutions, tapos kinukulateral niya itong accounts receivable. So, ikukulateral natin itong accounts receivable natin para maka-raise tayo ng money by borrowing money from the bank. Alright? So, ito, collateral. Alright, so what's the difference between this pledging and assignments? Sa pledging, kinukulateral natin lahat ng ating accounts receivable. Sa assignment naman, kinukulateral natin specific na accounts receivable. Alright? Alright? So, that's the difference of the pledging and the assignments. Ang pinagkaiba nila, kinukulateral nga nila yung accounts receivable, pero si pledging, kinukulateral niya lahat. Si assignment naman, kinukulateral niya specific accounts receivable. Ang ibig sabihin, yung accounts receivable mo kay Juan, yung accounts receivable mo kay Pedro, o kay Mang Tomas, kinukulateral mo yung specific accounts receivable. Alright? At pag-uusapan natin ng assignments at pledging in a little bit here, the other similarities and differences. Now, on factoring, ano ba yung factoring? Factoring is a sale of your accounts receivable. So, ano itong sale of accounts receivable? Binibenta mo na yung accounts receivable mo kapag factoring. Okay? So factoring is a other way of raising money. It's other way of raising cash para makapagbayad yung company ng kanyang current obligations. Binibenta niya yung accounts receivable. Now, there are two ways to sell your accounts receivable. Dalawang klase ito. Ang tinatawag nilang casual factoring, and the other one is the factoring as a continuing agreement. Alright? Factoring as a continuing agreement and casual factoring. So, pag-uusapan natin itong factoring na ito sa separate video in detail kung anong ginagawa natin, kung ang factoring ay casual factoring or a factoring as a continuing agreement. But let me give you an overview about this. Casual factoring is selling your existing accounts receivable. So, itong existing accounts receivable mo, ibebenta mo. This is a one-time transaction. How do we account for casual factoring? Pag-uusapan natin yan sa factoring video lecture natin. Factoring as a continuing agreement naman is, as the company generates an accounts receivable, binibenta niya ito kaagad sa bangko. Ang bangko, ang tawag dyan ay factor. So, itong accounts receivable na ito, binibenta na niya kaagad ito kay automatic, binibenta niya kaagad kay factor, yung bank or your other financial institution. Alright? That is factoring. Alright, one way of raising money or cash using our notes receivable is what we call discounting. Okay? Ano ba itong discounting na ito? Remember, paano ba nagkakaroon ng notes receivable si company? Nagkakaroon ng notes receivable si company kapag merong isang company or a customer issues a promissory note to pay our company a certain amount in a specified date. So, meron itong kaakibat or meron itong kasamang promissory note. Kaya tayo nagkakaroon ng notes receivable. Discounting, ang ibig sabihin ay ini-endorse natin ito sa isang bangko or other financial institutions. Endorsement ang tawag mo dito. Alright. So, nag-raise tayo ng money from discounting through endorsement. Alright? Pinipirmahan natin yung back ng promissory note. Ini-endorse natin kung kanino man yung pinag-i-endorsean natin sa bangko or other financial institutions or another person. Alright? Sa discounting naman, meron tayong tinatawag na without recourse and with recourse. Alright, ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng without recourse at with recourse? So, without recourse, kapag ang endorsement na ito ng company sa promissory note na yun, without recourse, ang ibig sabihin, si bangko o yung other financial institution, kung kanino man niya in-endorse itong promissory note na ito, hindi pwedeng balikan si company kapag hindi nakabayad si maker. Okay? Kapag hindi nakabayad si maker, yung maker ng promissory note, yung customer na nag-issue ng promissory note sa company, hindi pwedeng balikan ni bangko kapag hindi nakabayad si maker. Okay? That's without recourse. So, kapag with recourse naman, alright, itong si bangko or financial institution o yung taong pinag-endorsean ng company, right? Pwede siyang balikan. Pwede siyang balikan kapag hindi nakabayad si maker. So, that is with recourse. Without recourse, hindi pwedeng bumalik si bangko at singilin si company dahil ang endorsement ay without recourse. Kapag ang endorsement ay with recourse, then pwede niyang balikan si company. Alright? So, in with recourse, paano natin ito ina-account? Paano ang accounting ng with recourse and without recourse sa ating books? So, pag-uusapan natin yan pagdating natin sa discounting ng ating receivable financing. It's gonna be a separate video para makapag-focus ka more kung ano yung topic natin. Alright? Itong with recourse, May dalawang klase ng treatment sa accounting, itong with recourse, ang tinatawag na secured borrowing at conditional sale. Alright, ito po yung ating receivable financing overview. So, itong receivable financing, this is to raise money or cash in order for the company to pay its current obligation para makabayad siya ng kanyang current na utang. So, sa accounts receivable, tatlong ways ang pwede natin gawin para maka-raise tayo ng money. This is what we call pledging, assignments, or factoring. Sa notes receivable naman, the only way we can raise money from the notes receivable ay discounting. Kung saan ini-endorse natin yung promissory note ng customer or whoever ng maker sa bangko or any other financial institutions. At pwede rin sa isang tao. So this is our receivable financing. Then let's discuss about pledging and assignments. Ano ba itong pledging at assignments? Alright, now, so pag-usapan natin ang difference ng assignment at ng pledging, okay? So itong assignment at pledging na ito, both they borrow money from the bank or other financial companies or institutions. So, to raise money or cash from this accounts receivable, we can do assignments or pledging. This is borrowing money from the bank and iko-collateral natin ang ating accounts receivable. The difference between this assignment at pledging, sa assignments, kino-collateral natin ang specific na accounts receivable. Alright? While in pledging, kino-collateral po natin lahat ng accounts receivable. So, paano natin i-account ito sa ating books? So, sa assignments, ang gagawin natin sa specific accounts receivable na yon na inassign natin as collateral sa bangko, i-transfer natin sa account na accounts receivable assigned. So, we are going to transfer that specific accounts receivable to accounts receivable assigned. So, ang magiging entry natin dito sa assignments na ito is debit to accounts receivable assigned, and we credit the accounts receivable. Alright? So, magkakaroon lang ng panibagong account, itong mga accounts receivable mo, specific na ikinolateral natin through assignments. While in pledging, hindi na natin wala tayong entry, hindi natin gagalawin ang ating accounts receivable kasi lahat po ng accounts receivable natin, kinolateral natin. So, ang gagawin lang natin is i-disclose natin on notes to financial statements. Ano ba itong notes to financial statements? Ito yung mga detalye sa amount ng financial statements natin. Let's say, for example, we have a trade receivable of 4 million. Ano consist ng mga 4 million na trade receivables natin? Yun, nakasaad lahat yun sa ating notes to financial statements. So, kapag kinolateral natin lahat ng ating accounts receivable, nino-notes natin, dinidisclose natin para malaman ng mga babasa ng ating financial statements. Alright? So, hindi natin gagalawin ang accounts receivable natin sa pledging. Sa assignment naman, gagawa tayo ng another account called accounts receivable assigned. I-transfer natin yung accounts receivable na yon sa account na yon, na accounts receivable assigned. Then, we will record the borrowed money. Remember, sa assignment and pledging, we borrow money from the bank to raise cash para makabayad tayo ng ating obligations, current liabilities. So, to record the money that we borrowed from the bank or other financial institutions, our entry will be debit to cash kung magkano yung na-receive nating cash. And we will also record kung merong mang charge na fees si bangko or other financial company. Siyempre, meron yon. So, we will debit that fees or expenses. And then we will credit note payable. Alright? Alright. Note payable kasi si bangko hindi siya basta-basta magpapautang sa iyo na wala kang pinipirmahan. Okay? Usually, they will require you to make a promissory note na ikaw ay nagpo-promise magbayad ng inutang mo sa bangko on a specified date. Alright? So, our entry for our borrowed money will be debit to cash, debit to fees kung meron man. Usually meron, and then we credit to the notes payable. Same thing with the pledging. Wala man tayong entry sa accounts receivable natin, hindi natin ginalaw, pero magkakaroon tayo ng entry sa ating inutang na pera. So it's the same entry on assignments. So we debit cash. So yan po ang ating entry sa pag-record ng ating inutang sa bangko. Kinolateral man natin ang accounts receivable natin. Kapag pledging, wala tayong gagalawin sa accounts receivable natin. But we will disclose that on our notes to financial statements. Sa assignment naman, ito-transfer natin yung accounts receivable natin na specific na kinolateral natin sa bangko. Now, we will discuss more about this assignment in detail, yung mga transactions involving the assignments, involving this accounts receivable assigned. So, kung inassign mo na itong accounts receivable na ito, paano kung magkakaroon ng sales return from the customer, pero inassign mo ito as a collateral? Yan ang pag-uusapan natin in detail on our receivable financing focused on assignment. Alright?